Boom bam, President Chad here on the EPL Rewind for the big season 2023 to 2024. Correct. In the house with me is the man Andre Errol Baptiste. How are you doing, my brother?
I am okay. Glad to be on with you, Chad.
Nice. Well, Andre, let's jump straight into it with predictions. Let's start off with predictions. Who do you see as the top three, top four, and I guess we could say top six? So let's start with Champions League positions first. Who you think going to take it all, and who you're going to round out the Champions League positions this year?
I still honestly believe that Manchester City will win the English Premier League.
Let me take notes of what you're saying here.
That's okay, yeah.
So I could remind you later on.
No. What I feel and what I wish. Remember, this is what I feel, not what I wish, right?
Correct.
Okay. So what I feel is Manchester City will win from Liverpool, and Arsenal will come third, and Tottenham will come fourth. I sigh to say that because I sigh, but that's what I feel. Manchester United, I feel, will come. Well, I feel actually that in fifth position could be Newcastle, and Manchester United could come sixth, but it'll be a tremendous battle with Brighton and probably Chelsea for that spot. That's what I feel. What I wish is Arsenal would win, obviously. That's what I wish, but wishful thinking sometimes works. But I mean, if I speak it, it might work, it might come to pass. But realistically, I'm seeing
a repeat for City.
Yeah, I'm seeing Man City and Liverpool, although they were very unlucky in that game against Tottenham. Very awful decisions all around. I mean, the sending off, the disallowed goal, all that would have changed that game, the own goal. I mean, you name it, it went wrong for Liverpool in that match against Tottenham. But Tottenham, I mean, if we want to jump into the chat, this is a different Tottenham team. This Tottenham team, this Australian coach, Ange, as they like to call him, he has brought some positivity, and it's almost like if he's bought time, meaning this team Tottenham is being allowed to play how they want. Nobody expects anything from Tottenham. That's why I told people that Tottenham remind me this season of Arsenal last season, whereby nothing was expected, and therefore you can go out and play free football.
So the players playing with a kind of ease.
Yes.
Because he has won stuff, but coming from the Scottish League, nobody expects you to rip up trees in the Premier League. So there's a bit of leeway, so to speak. So you see Spurs finishing in the top four. You see Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. The teams that come up: Luton, Sheffield, and Burnley. Any of them you think gonna stay up?
I definitely feel Sheffield United getting demoted. Definitely feel they getting demoted. I would, if you had asked me earlier, I would have said Burnley would have stayed up. But I'm seeing a weakness. I don't know if it's in Vincent Kompany in terms of him trying to go toe to toe against some of these teams and not understanding his limitations. So I'm very worried for Burnley. In fact, I feel if it continues, Kompany will lose his job, right? Because every team, nobody wants to go get demoted. And Luton, though, showed me in the last game against Everton that they could fight, and they will fight at home in particular. So they might surprise a couple of people. I think they understand, their management understand their limitations, and I think that's what you've got to do. Burnley need to understand their limitations. You understand your limitations, and you don't, you fail.
And I agree with you. I think Kompany, as much as he may have a good coaching managerial philosophy, I think he's trying to play, as you say, toe-to-toe with these Premier League teams. And the reality is, come up. Your game plan is set for you before you reach any Premier League. Low block, hit teams on the counter, teams fighting relegation like you, teams that not playing well like the Evertons or the Premier League, you try to get some points off of them. The idea is just to try to stay up. It's not to come and try to play pretty football. Mainly not because anything is wrong with the coaching philosophy, but you don't have the players. You don't have a proper Premier League striker. You don't have the players to play pretty football. So you just need to low block and handle it. But okay, fair enough. Well, I mean, I am impressed, have been impressed by Kompany, and I hope that he figures it out
Yeah.
Luton, I don't know. Yes, they got points against Everton, but I don't know. I think
But
Luton and Sheffield.
you know what I watch, boy Chad, with these teams that are promoted. If you gain points at home, I give you an edge because you have got to then think about gaining points at home, particularly when you are a one of the other teams. Your idea must be to gain points at home, and I think that to me is got to be their focus. Away from home, look for a draw, pray for a hard draw. If somebody find it boring, too bad. Yeah, it's their business. Their business, right? Because if you go get, remember, if you go get about 6 or 7 draws and you win about, I think the average they say normally about between 20. If you get between 25 and 30, normally reasonably safe. So if you think about winning about 6 or 7 games, say 7 to 21, you can get about 8 to 7 draws. You close to 30, you go survive. You go make it.
And that's all it's about. That is
Yeah.
all it's about. Survival right now. Yeah,
Survival is money, That is it, eh?
For real. So Arsenal was very close to the top last term. Matter of fact, they were on top of the table for what 95% of the season, if not more.
I think so, yes.
Right. But I see you have them. Your prediction is that they're coming in third. What do you think has changed negatively for Arsenal?
Arteta
But it's the same coach. What I mean, he's
no.
changed
Arteta trying
negatively.
to be Pep again, whereby Pep Guardiola can experiment. Because he is Pep Guardiola, he could experiment. When Arteta started this season, Chad, and he take Partey, and he put Partey in a right back position, I say Arteta is a madman. And he do that so that Kai Havertz could play. He could give us all the stories in the world. He do it so that Kai Havertz could play in the team because they pay 65 million for him. So he have to play him. It never worked. They looked uncomfortable. They won the first game, but in that first game, Forest came back strong. And then they end up drawing another. They drew against Fulham. They win games by 1-0. I think Arteta is trying to experiment too much. Keep the same team. The reason Arsenal did so well last season is simply because you could have closed your eyes and know the Arsenal team that was playing week in, week out. Once they have no injury, they are the same Arsenal team playing week in, week out. Once they have no injury. Now, at the start of the season, you will say, he knows that to realize, okay, let me adjust. I can't say personally, I always found that Ramsdale is make too much mistakes. That's my personal opinion. That's why he's not England #1 goalkeeper. He's make good save, but he do some real crap. So Rhea is supposedly better. I hold him to blame though in that game against Tottenham for that first goal where he flapped. Right, I hold him to blame in that goal, but he seems to be a better goalkeeper according to many people. So I'll give him the chance. I don't have no problem with that. I don't have a problem with him being ahead of Ramsdale personally. I have no problem. And it's good to have people saying and not good to have 2 good goalkeepers. I don't know how true that is because if your team want to do well and they want to play in all the competitions, you need 2 good goalkeepers. Whether you like it or not, you need 2 good goalkeepers. And I mean, Liverpool have shown that they could do it. Alisson is such a good goalkeeper. We don't have Alisson quality. So you have to find 2 goalkeepers because one could always get injured. But this season, the best game I've seen Arsenal play this season was against PSV Eindhoven in the Champions League. That is the Arsenal team I know. The way they play that game. They play that game, really play that game good. Jesus was in a normal position. They played like how we know they could play. Look what happened on I mean, yes, they end up in the game with Tottenham. He didn't start Jesus in the game with Bournemouth. He put Jesus to play on the wing and he put Eddie through the middle. Why? Don't make sense. Jesus need to play through the middle, but you don't need to be a scientist to understand that. If Eddie can play on the wing, let Nielsen play on the wing.
Yeah, let Eddie come off the bench.
Let Eddie come off the bench. Why you want Eddie to play so much, but you put him in a position where Jesus is clearly a better player.
Well, the one thing I could say to Arsenal supporters is that your team is going to give your manager time. And
yes.
Not that I personally hope that he figures it out, but he's going to have time to figure it out. It's not like his job is under threat.
No, well, that's the one thing he's safe about.
Yeah, that's so we'll see how Arteta goes. Chelsea brought in Pochettino.
Well,
big spending summer.
They won today, but I think the problem there is Pochettino still doesn't know what his best 11 is. Until he decides and finds out what his best 11 is. I mean, I could use Manchester United as an example. The old days of Alex Ferguson, you could have picked 9 out of those, if not 10 of those starting players. Just like when a team is really good, Liverpool, when they won, you know their team. Now, I mean, Raheem Sterling didn't play today. He played Mudryk. He bring in Cole Palmer. He's still experimenting. One thing he knows is that for Fernandez, we pay over 100 million, have to pay. Sairu, we pay over 100 million, have to pay. Look, Conor Gallagher. There was a time when Conor Gallagher was thought he wasn't going to play, but now we realize he is a good player. I think the biggest point for Chelsea is their defense. He's still a little bit uncertain as who is the mainstay in the defense, and of course they have a new goalkeeper. So all of that, when you're not so sure, you could have problems. But I think they will improve, and I really hope. I mean, I don't like Chelsea, but I would hope that they would give Pochettino a little time, a little bit more time than they certainly would have given to Tuchel. That to me was the biggest madness in the whole world. The man now win the Champions League for you. He had a little bad run and you get rid of him. I thought that was ridiculous, but that is how Chelsea is, I guess.
Correct. So you think Chelsea will find their feet?
Yeah, I think they will. I honestly, in talking to some Chelsea fans, I know I didn't put them in fourth, but that's because Tottenham just keep finding some kind of magic to stick in it. Because I was going to say Chelsea would have been right there, but Tottenham just, I don't know, something. If they continue that way, who knows what they will achieve. But yeah, and that's the only reason. I think if you would have watched, Chelsea would have won there, but probably a difficult game against Brighton. They won today away from home against Fulham. And they generally don't have, I think in the month of October, they have maybe 1 or 2 hard matches. They have a strong chance. They have a good draw. They have a good draw. I think they have Blackburn in the Carabao Cup at home. So they have a reasonably good draw. And you know, sports is winning is confidence. When they start to win, they haven't conceded a goal in the last 2 matches. They're going to feel good about themselves. So I think they could be dangerous. I can't say I see them winning the title. Don't get me wrong. I still only see Man City with Liverpool really as the test, but we'll see.
Belatedly, but absolutely necessary. You know, we have to talk about Manchester United. I say belatedly because my team is not doing too well right now, but it is what it is. As an outsider, you know, somebody looking on from the outside, what do you think is wrong with Manchester United right now?
Well, you know, I think honestly, I want to apportion the blame both with the manager and some of the players. I think Erik ten Hag should have more experience than to throw a player under the bus as he did with Sancho. Even if Sancho wasn't doing well in the training or whatever it is, I didn't feel it was appropriate. He could have easily got away and said, well, I didn't pick Sancho this week. And if they asked him why you said that, I would have said that's why it's my decision and leave it there. No need to go and say the man didn't train good as compared to how other people train. And then they look on the bench and they say, well, how these other players play. And say, yeah, kind of embarrass the man, right? So I don't think there was any need for that. Yes, he wanted to be a top disciplinarian. He did the same thing with Rashford, where he say Rashford come late and he do it, but Rashford obviously is much more mature than Sancho. So it's a different sort of reaction, as the case may be. So I'm not sure if that style is the best style to use. And I think that could kind of throw off the whatever little chemistry they have in the team. It threw off. You then come back and say you're dependent on Bruno Fernandes and Bruno score a goal. Then you beat Crystal Palace. When Crystal Palace play a weak team, without a doubt, Crystal Palace only focus is to stay in the English Premier League. Them not looking to win no Carabao Cup. If they get a chance and a run, they go take it. Right? These teams like Crystal Palace, their job or their manager's job is to stay in the Premier League. If that happens, come next season, if they play in the FA Cup and they have enough points as far as they're concerned, they will give it a run. But the Carabao Cup is a new cup. When I say it now starts, so they're not going to risk with a match against the same opponents on the weekend. And I think they caught out Manchester United. Manchester United went in thinking it was the same team. But when you look at about 6 or 7 different players come in, and they caught Man United off. Man United thought it would be an easy game. I talked to many Man United fans and they say, oh God, Crystal Palace could be easy. After they beat them 3-0, Sakai. Same team, same venue. Oh Lord, more licks. It don't work so. Football not like that. And I think Ten Hag got to take some blame there because he should have realized, hey, and maybe I had to change this team a little bit and get some fresh fellas here because maybe they might just think it will be too easy. So said, so done. I mean, you all had so much chances in that game. I mean, it's like, I don't know if I think it's one shot there. I don't even know if they have more than one shot. How much shots Crystal Palace had? But they scored.
Crystal Palace really wasn't saying anything. They took their goal well. They took their goal well, and goals win matches. And United failed to score. You have United finishing in European places, top 6, but you don't have them in Champions League. So you don't think they're going to be able to recover enough.
The only reason I'm saying that is if you look, they're in a tough group in the Champions League right now. They're in a tough group, right? With Bayern, although they make a really good comeback in that game against Bayern, I give them that. All things being equal, this is my opinion. If two things, there's so much. If they make it into the next round of the Champions League, great. Would actually be better. The reason I'm saying it would be better is, and this is not meant in a bad way, but if they make it to the next round, I don't think they will go past the next round, meaning they will get a top draw. But if they go into the Europa League, they will get far, but it will mean a lot of football, right? Whether they win or not, they will get far in the Europa League. I don't think they will win, but they will go further than in the Champions League. And therefore, there will be a lot of football being played by their players, which inadvertently could affect how they play in the Premier League. So it actually might be a blessing in disguise because I think they're going, that is how I see it.
Team have a lot of injuries right now.
Yes.
Top defender injured. Matter of fact, the whole back line decimated.
And Martinez out. Yeah, I think Martinez out for the season, right? So you're out for the season.
Well, he's having a second surgery, so we don't know how that'll be until his surgery is on, but at least 3 months.
Yeah, at least until next year. Yeah. So that means he won't be able to compete in the Champions League games that you'll have, obviously. So that's one at a major disadvantage. And I mean, Ole got to either throw in Maguire or Johnny Evans. Right?
I rather Evans any day, yes.
But that in itself, imagine you would put on Johnny Evans ahead of Maguire. So Maguire, I don't know why Maguire don't get the hint, but nevertheless, you had to leave it. Right? And I think too much pressure on Fernandes. And I think, I have this argument with a lot of Manchester United players. I'm telling them, Rashford is not a centre forward. Play the man in the best position. Why? Then the same argument with Arteta. Why play the man in the position you want him to play when you know he's not going to do as good? Look last season how much goals he scored for you all playing in the other position. Put somebody else there. I don't want to say put anybody, but give the man his best position. How he could not do that?
All right. And I agree with you. I mean, personally, just to touch on the game on the weekend, I think the biggest challenge for Manchester United was the players. They lacked a degree of intensity.
Yes.
I think they maybe, as you said, the attitude was one of, we'll be this side a few days ago. Even though there was different personnel.
Right.
They were coasting throughout the game. Even when it went down, you didn't see a change in tempo by Manchester United. And I think something is wrong with that. And I think as much as the players on the pitch are responsible for that, the manager must have also seen that and should have tried to address that in some way. Because this Crystal Palace team is not a good team and they didn't deserve to beat Manchester United. But it is what it is.
Yeah, they're not. Crystal Palace are a good team to me at home. They fight hard at home because their philosophy is to stay in the English. They're doing what we just say, At home, we had to beat, we'll win. And if we could draw some other matches, but we job is to stay. We get at 30 points, we good. We get at 30 points, we good.
Correct.
Right?
That is right. So let's talk a little bit about Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne started the season injured. Some people would have thought, well, yeah, boy.
I thought so too. I thought they would have been vulnerable.
They would have been vulnerable. Until this weekend, they were the only unbeaten team. and then they lost to Wolves. They do what they always do. City always drop points to a team in the bottom half of the table. That is
not so much. They were the only team that won all their matches. Yeah, they were, because Arsenal and Tottenham and Liverpool,
before the weekend.
Yes,
yeah.
Right. Also unbeaten.
Right, they won all their matches.
They won all. But Chad, if you look at it, some of them wins was like fortuitous. I mean, because they didn't play no fortunate. They didn't play no great football. Nobody. They found a way to win. So that had me very concerned. I was saying, wow, they're not playing good, but they're winning.
They're winning. And after
that's just a good team.
After the first three, they started to play good. Now when you watch them, it's like they're looking good. Erling Haaland, by his very high standards, it started off kind of slow.
I think they found them out. So it's like everything else.
So you don't expect him to score 40 goals this season?
Goals that he scored. No, I think they found them out. I think I'm sure you would have seen the clips. I think it's last season when Pep was talking to him about when he collect the ball and it's back to goal, he can't turn to his left, he turn to his right. So they watch the game, you will see that if he collects the ball with his back to goal, they are forcing him to turn to his right. They're forcing him to go on his weaker foot. They're forcing him, and once he's not comfortable. They dispossessing him. He's not comfortable, and into that Pep is talking to him. And Pep said, and he said it in an interview. I think he talked to Henry too, and Henry said that was one of his weaknesses. How he collect the ball, and when he collect the ball, they know what he want to do. They understand he want to get up on his left foot bad, and they know he want to get up on his left foot. They know it, right? Because he go with both feet, but they know he have a tendency to drift their way, and that's what he want to do. So they're giving him some pressure. And the high balls, no longer he finding himself on mark to nut the ball in the back of the net. So, I mean, I think he will score goals, but he's not Mo Salah. He doesn't have Mo Salah's skill. Mo Salah could real dribble. He can't dribble like Mo Salah. So, Mo Salah could put the ball down, and that is the other weakness. He cannot dribble. He's not a dribbler. So, he's not so comfortable. He's comfortable with his speed, but he can't dribble past men, he can't drift past two men and because of his height, I guess, and his size. So I think he will struggle a little bit, but I still think that the player called Alvarez is the dangerous player. Nobody watching him, but you see Alvarez, he is the dangerous player.
What is struggle in your mind? Instead of 40, 35, less than 35 goals?
Okay, no. Let me not say struggle, because that's the wrong word.
No, struggle is the right word, because his standard,
yes,
he has set his 40 goals. So anything less than that is struggling.
He will struggle to get that, but he might get about 20. You get which is more than the other people, right?
Okay, so you don't expect him to get 30 goals in the Premier League this season.
I actually think, watch and see, that Alvarez, if he starts more games, might end up with a lot more goals, because Alvarez could hit a free kick. Alvarez could do plenty things. The Argentine, he's much more skillful. He might not be a finisher, but he's much more skillful on the ball.
Okay.
So it makes it interesting, but I think the real problem for them is Rodri not being there. They cannot replace Rodri. Rodri going off, and they lose Rodri for 3 matches. Remember, Rodri didn't play in that game that they lost, Rodri, and I think he will. Yeah, he's supposed to miss 3 matches, so he would have missed another match, and he'll miss the game against Arsenal, I think, too. So that's a massive loss for them, Rodri, because he could do everything. He could do everything.
True,
and he just find a way to score a goal when nobody can score a goal. He just find a way to score a goal. He's sickening like that. He's sickening, but
well, I guess you as an Arsenal supporter, you glad that he's going to be missing for that game.
But I mean, I ain't gonna get overconfident, but I will say that I tell other Arsenal men, if he asks me, it better he don't play than he play. So as much as it is, if it's Arsenal fan, I don't mean Arsenal will win. But I'm sure if you ask Arsenal if they rather him play or not play, in their heart, they might say they want him to play. But in their heart, they will say, nah, let us lose with him not on his side or win with him not on his side, don't matter. But he had to mark. He played now. He's one man, he in game substituted, and he running box to box, and he could defend and he could score.
Correct.
Yeah, but better he don't play.
All right. Well, I mean, before we shut it down, we have to talk about Newcastle. Newcastle, I think, took everybody by storm, by surprise last season. They held their own. They finished in the top 4. They're holding the Champions League. Their first game against a strong AC Milan side, they came away with a draw. They have a point on the board in Champions League already. And they did some shrewd business. They brought in some top-notch, top-quality players, strengthening and deepening their bench. Talk to me. What do you think about Newcastle prospects? Well, you have them in your top 4.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about them. I still am because they didn't start the season well. And I've watched them for a few games. And I mean, I know they gave Sheffield United 8, and they won a couple of games 1-0, but they're not the same team. They're not as fluent. They remind me a little bit of Arsenal this season. They overachieve, and now all eyes on them, so people know that is. I personally don't agree with Eddie Howe's decision to start Isaac instead of Callum Wilson, and I think if see Wilson at the come off the bench and score goals, Isaac just scored the other day. So I think that it's good to have competition, but I see Callum Wilson as a much better finisher than Isaac. I don't think Callum Wilson would stay in this team very much longer if he continues to be on the bench, because he wants to play for England, and he can't play for England on the bench, right? So he mightn't stay in this team much longer. And I think they have a good goalkeeper, but the defense is a little bit on the old side, Trippier and them. So I honestly don't expect them to make the same impact. And again, because they're in the Champions League, it's going to be tough for them. I think they another thing this week they're playing against PSG. They have PSG to play against this week self. So that's an interesting encounter. I would love to see how they play, because the thing is, Chad, they have to play their best teams in the Champions League. They can't rest nobody, right? So then they have to take, once that means these same players have to come and play on the weekend. So can they handle both? As deep as their bench is.
Or if they rotate.
Can't afford to put no jokey side out. You have to put full side.
If they rotate, they're going to have to rotate in the Premier League.
In the Premier League.
Yeah, you can't really rotate in Champions League.
No, you can. That's what I keep saying. Tottenham have a really, really good chance. They like Arsenal last year. Arsenal was in nothing.
Spurs and Chelsea have everything working for them, because they only have to play one game a week.
Yep.
And they have a whole week to prepare. So they things in their favor.
Think about the Spurs getting knocked out of the Carabao Cup. The man didn't play no strong team. He focusing on the Premier League, He focusing to get in that Champions League place. That's he focus.
Correct. Yeah, indeed.
But it's turned out to be a nice season so far. The matches are close, which we expect in the English Premier League, and I think that is what makes it so entertaining. I think.
Yeah, but hands down again, and continues to be the best league in the world.
Without a doubt.
Andre, thanks for being part of the program.
Welcome. Thank you.
Folks, stay tuned to the United Hour. Every week we're going to be talking Premier League on the Premier League Rewind, and we're also going to be talking fantasy football and fantasy blitz. You understand? We got a whole season sponsor in the fan club, Trin City Mall. They're going to be sponsoring us, so you have prizes to win in that fantasy league, not just at the end of the season, but throughout the course of the season. So check out the Fantasy Blitz on Friday to get up to date with what's going on there. And also you could check out the fan club's Facebook page as well. You could check them out on Friday and see what's going on there with the Fantasy Blitz. And Andre, if anybody who is not part of the iSports Fantasy, just give them those details.
Yes, certainly. You can just go to the I don't remember the code off the top of my head, obviously, but we just put in iSports Fantasy. When you put in iSports Fantasy League, you can see it and you can join and be part of it. And I don't know about Chad, but I'm not doing very well. But right, so I would even tell you to try to do like me, just do like people in front, because I catching my tail, to say the least. That's all I would see.
Right now, this week in particular, I was doing well. A whole lot of green arrows last week, and this week
this week I actually did well. I got 66 points, which is high for me personally. And that was because of Martin Odegaard. I had Martin Odegaard as my captain. Yeah, and he's a real consistent player. So I don't know why he didn't take the penalty and I get more points if he had taken the penalty instead of giving it to Havertz. They want to give it, but that show you a little bit of spirit. So we'll see.
I guess they're trying to build confidence in all, because you need a lot of goal scorers if you're really going to challenge. It can't just be a one-man show. So, all right.
Thank you very much, sir. Very entertaining. The time passed extremely fast. So thank you very much, sir.
For real.
For real. Take care. All the best.
Fantasy Blitz, and we are out.
Thank you.
Support the United Hour. Click that like button and subscribe.